Hello and welcome to REGO-FIX Tech Chat. My name is David McHenry. I am the Engineering and Technical Manager here at REGO-FIX USA. Since the inception of the ER collet, well, we've had wrenches to tighten the nuts. And those wrenches have progressed in different designs, some of which are now made to be safe for the operators and help them during the tightening process to keep the nut from slipping off and to save their fingers some scars. So let's go through the progression of some of the changes in the ER wrenches and just how they can be safe for our operators. We've moved over to our workbench and we have our torque block and we have a tool holder set up. So let's talk about the most standard type of nut that we use for ER collets, and that's the spanner style. And what was used originally would be more like a little hook wrench. The hook would engage onto one of the grooves and you would tighten this. The only problem with this is you would either wear the end of the groove into the hook, or you'd wear the groove on the nut itself and you were prone to slip. So the most common type now is the E-spanner that actually goes over the top of the nut and it engages in 3 to 4 different areas, providing you a nice safe handle and an anti-slip function. So this has by far been a great addition to the system, and you will even see newer nuts that actually use a bearing style of wrench that goes over the top, just like our micron system does. So we will actually show that here at the very end of this, what that progression looks like for the next step of nuts. But the E-spanner wrench locks into the top of the nut, locks into the grooves, giving you a positive feel when you're tightening that. But the spanner type nut like this is not the only type. So let's look at what happens with a hex nut. The standard hex nuts are available for the ER series from ER8 all the way up through ER20. And the most common type of wrench you will find in the market is basically an open-ended wrench. Now, customers might be using this, or you might even see an adjustable wrench they're putting on the outside of the nut to tighten it. The only problem with any kind of open-ended wrench is if I don't have full engagement or I get at a bad angle, I can slip off. I'm also prone to wearing the surfaces or damaging the outside of the nut itself. So what have we done to make that better? Well, a few years ago, we came out with the next version of this wrench, and it actually has 2 little tangs that go over the top of the nut and engage on both sides, giving you a positive feel and the fact I now can't slip off. The nice part is I have an opening right here to pass the tool through it to make it easy to tighten. So look for these type of wrenches when you have issues with the old style. This will definitely solve a lot of problems and will keep you from slipping off, damaging the wrench, or damaging the nut. So now we have our mini nut tools, nuts here on the top of the torque block. Now the standard mini nut that looks like a castle nut, which is one of the typical things it's called, has grooves in it that the wrench locks into. Now this nut design is over 50 years old, and it used a simple claw wrench that went over the top and locked in to tighten this. The only problem is if I didn't get it flat and flush, I was really only tightening with 2 of the little tangs on top of the mini nut wrench, and they tended to break or bend or slip. And well, in the tightening process, if I have a small tool, I'm either going to break it off or end up with a new scar on my hand to show what happened. So not that long ago, the MX nut was designed. Now the MX nut was made to replace the standard mini nut, and it's a safety nut. So just like the ER hex style with the tangs that come around to keep you from slipping off, the MX has an anti-slip function as well. It has little profiled nodes that engage the top of the nut and that lock everything together. So this way it's locked, you can't slip off, and it gives you that positive feel and the safety when you're tightening everything together. Now these are available in ER8 up through ER20 sizes, making it nice and easy to change over your mini nuts to the MX style. So another safety thing that's been developed to help you and protect you from getting hurt in the machine. For customers that are familiar with the A style nut or the recessed or externally threaded style nut, well, this probably looks really familiar to you. You have externally threads, my collet goes on the inside, and on the top I have a hole pattern, and I have a little pin wrench that engages those holes to positively lock everything in place. So 3 little pins, they lock in. The only problem is I got all this movement and I end up wearing the holes, or worse yet, I end up breaking the end of my wrench during the tightening process. Doesn't make it very useful. I even have one here that somebody has ground flats on so they can take their open end wrench and tighten that up. So great concept for the nut itself, or the application for the nut itself, but not so much for the way to tighten it. It just caused too many problems. So that's why the AX style came out. And just like the MX style, I have nodes on the top of the nut itself, and I have matching nodes on the wrench that allow me to lock everything together. So it's a positive feel, a dovetail type locking system so that this wrench can't slip. So it's an easy way to take your used and abused AX style nuts and replace those with the MX that's out there for your safety. Nut and wrench technology has changed dramatically over the last couple decades. REGO-FIX has done our part to make sure that we ensure your safety with wrenches that lock around the face of the nut, that lock on the face of the nut to keep you safe and make sure you don't slip, hurt yourself, or break your tooling inside your machines. If you have any questions about the REGO-FIX nut offering, please reach out to your REGO-FIX technical team. We are here to help.